no connection there. Bird's too heavy, she's going to fly off on me, and she's not going to hunt. So the weight's a big importance. What we do once we trap the bird is we try to get them to eat off the glove first with some food. And then we try to get them to jump to the glove on a bow perch. Just in the house. It's all happening in the house. And then if your house is big enough, you try and get them to fly the length of the room to you. And all the while, I start using a whistle. So they really make that food association, especially when you're out in the middle of the woods and you're trying to get your bird back to you. A whistle is what you want. And they will. They'll turn around on a dime. I also use a lure with food on it. So while I'm training this bird on the glove, I'll actually start introducing the lure with food on it. Again, it's all food-based. The end result is I go outside. I use a long leash. It's called a creance, another falconry term. I get the bird to come to me for about 100 to 150 feet. And what basically you want is no hesitation. I blow the whistle, the bird flies to me. I blow the whistle, the bird flies to me. It doesn't wheel around and try and fly the other way. And then I'll throw the lure down. The bird will hit the lure, get it back on the glove. And then I just throw the bird up in the tree and I start hunting. What you want to do once you start hunting the bird is give it hunting situations. You don't want to just go in the woods and say, oh, well, I hope a rabbit comes out or I hope a squirrel comes out. I will usually go to my most prolific areas when I'm working with the new bird, so that the bird is making that hunting association, sooner than later. So the minute you really start making, you start that hunting bond with the bird, you're on your way to having, a good bird, essentially. Yes? I usually don't go over 5. I'll keep that Tiercel red tail I had. He was outstanding. So I held on to them for 5 years and released them to the wild. And like Paul said, these are wild birds. They're never domesticated. You can tame them down per se, but what's nice about that is working with the bird. You don't want them, wild where they're trying to come out and foot you. It's called footing. You want them well adjusted. So when you go in the woods with a bunch of other falconers, they're not taking off on you. 5 years is about the max. An imprint, you'd hold on to longer because you've put so much time into them. Did you have a question? Someone over there? Yes?
You had said the bird weighed 46 ounces would be primary condition of raw.
Yep.
So it's hungry. What can it lift?
A female red tail could lift a squirrel. A female red tail on a rabbit per se, what they'll do is they'll gorge up. It's called a gorge. They'll gorge up for a bit and then fly off with it sometimes. But if it's still, what they'll do is they'll just go up into a tree and leave it. And if, say some coyote don't get it in the course of the night, go back to the kill the next day.
It kills things that are bigger than it can lift.
Yeah.
And it either eats until it's full.
Yes.
Or eats, come and grab if it's accessible to you.
Absolutely. Right. No, what I do, well, see, if you have a bird that I'm working with, sometimes, especially in October, early November, when it's still warm out, you got to be careful about cropping your bird up, giving it a full gorge, because it can actually get sour crop. So basically the food goes rancid. They don't, what's called put over, meaning they move the food from the crop into the digestive system. You can actually get sour crop. When it gets cold like this, you can gorge them up really good. But yeah, in the wild, they'll gorge as much as they can and fly off. With the falconer, if you have a bird that you want to hunt the next day, you reward the bird. You still want to give the bird a reward, but you don't want too much so that you can't fly the next day, because there's a hunting weight. If you're outside the hunting weight, they're not going to hunt for you. So.
I would imagine you tend to lose them if they're full.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what you do.
Yeah, there's falconers through the years that have lost birds. Just they didn't get the hunting weight down, and the bird literally just turns around and flies for the horizon after a month of training. So a tough loss. This is a female red tail. I really thoroughly enjoyed her. The females, I don't always like all the females. She's got big feet. You want big feet for squirrel. Squirrel bite. They've bitten me. They've bitten the birds I've had. Immature tail, as you could see. Big feet. I have the bells off. If you get a close look, you could see the cere is a greenish. You might be looking at the the ducks over there. The sear is like a green-blue. You guys are welcome to, come up, take a closer look if you want. Big talons, this is the halix. This is the big one at back. So these two in here are the inside. They're basically the ones that squeeze. Falcons basically knock something dead, in the stoop. She's going to poop. That is called a slice. That's what hawks do. If you don't like someone and they're behind you, you can always turn the bird. And that I have done before. They got, hawk. It's called a mute all over them. Here you go, the anklets. The leash, I make the leash out of, it's tuna, Dacron. And I, just, what's it called? When you braid it. I braid it. Same thing with the swivel here. She's getting ready to bait. See how she's kind of leaning forward. We also, the way we're able to kind of get a handle on where the bird's at weight-wise is their sternum, the keel. You get in here and you can feel it. If they're sharp, you got a little more bone. Again, we're not starving them. It's just they got to be hungry to hunt. Yeah.
You ever pick them?
No. There are falconers out there that do. That's a lot of work, and you need big, almost aviaries that are 100 by 50, or you need that room for them to go through their mating rituals and things of that sort. Some people do, especially goshawks. Goshawks are they're hard to find, so a lot of people will actually breed them. But you're looking at about $4,000, for a female. So she'll change. She'll start to drop feathers. What I've done, if they kind of stagger, they're not dropping feathers, so that I'm ready for the season, and I'll put a light in, and I extend the photo period. The photo period is what triggers the molt. So I'll put a light in there for like a week, and once it triggers their molt, then we're on our way to having a clean molt. It was what you want. But as you can see, it's keeping them in good feather is what you want. Anklets, jesses. I usually don't. This is a red-tail hawk. This is a hood. I rarely use hoods for red-tails. I think they're like the pickup truck of falconry. They're just reliable. They're easygoing. If you do it right, you really reap the benefits with the red-tail. A goshawk right now would have baited probably 15 or 20 times. You got to remember, I've been feeding her, so I'm not hunting. So she's probably, at the 50-ounce range. And they're a lot more nervous when their weight goes up. But as you can see, she's still pretty calm. And the only thing you really want to watch for is these talons. They don't go for your face or any of that kind of stuff, The hood it's just to calm them. A lot of falconers, traditionally, they'll use them on falcons. It's just to take the stimuli away, so that if they see something, they're not baiting. What you saw where they're kept on a cadge like that, they're kept out in the open. I keep that's called a giant hood. A lot of falconers with falcons won't do that. They'll keep them on a cadge, in the back of their truck. So you need the hood. What you don't want is they spook. A truck goes by while you're going on your way to a hunting area, and a big 18-wheeler goes by. That's actually a sign of contentment when they rouse. It's called a rouse. It's a good sign. It means that it's well adjusted. She somewhat, I guess, would like me in some way, shape, or form. But it just means you put a lot of time into them. So the hood is just to keep that stimuli away so that they don't kind of freak out. And what they can do is they can bait, hit a window, and break their neck or injure themselves. So that's the purpose of a hood. There's different types of hoods. This one's made, if you look on the side panels have like a lizard. Because what they'll do is they'll kind of scratch at it enough where they'll actually go right through the leather. This is for a peregrine falcon. A gentleman in England gave this to me when I was in Spain. This is for a kestrel. So you can see the different sizes. You strike the braces, so you tighten them, you loosen them. I'm trying to think what else I have here. It's about, let me see if I can get away with it. I'll show you real quick, and then any other questions, let me know. She might, I don't know, I'll show you the lure real quick. This is another way to get your bird back when so it's essentially, you use this with a piece of meat on it, and You essentially, once you use the whistle, you bring the bird into the lure. It's a good way, especially if you're in a spot where things are going wrong. You know, another bird comes in, or it's flying into an area that you don't want it to be in. We hunt some tight spots. We call it micro-hawking. We're losing a lot of area. In fact, the big reason I went to squirrel hawking as the major, you know, the prey that I really pursue with these birds is we're just losing areas, especially down in, you know, South County area. You know, rabbits need that habitat. I'm losing it. I don't have areas to hunt my bird. Squirrels, they're essentially anywhere. You know, I'll go to someone's backyard if they give me permission. You know, it doesn't matter. Yeah?
So does using the hood, like vary from bird to bird, like some birds,
Yeah.
birds, you would have to like hood, but some birds you wouldn't.
Absolutely. No, it's a great question. Yeah, a goshawk, yeah. You want to hood goshawks. Red tails, they just, what I also do is I do a passive way of keeping the bird's man down, and it's also a way to control my environment for weather-wise, is I'll keep the bird inside on a bow perch, especially if I'm hunting the next day. And it's just a controlled environment, and it also keeps the bird used to, you know, my girls, we have a couple dogs, and it keeps them well adjusted so they're not.
I know where I work at the zoo, we have a red-tailed hawk who has her wings clipped, and she can't really fly, but
Yeah,
she did need the hood for a little while because she was still kind of new.
there you go. Yeah. It's pretty, yeah. Yeah, they get used to it. I'll use the hood like when we first fresh trap a bird. That's, you know, that's about it. Other than that, you know, I love red tails. They're great birds. They adjusted well to our area. This is probably one of my favorites. Her and a northern goshawk. I mean, that's all you pretty much need, you know. Yeah. What's that? I don't. They do. I try to keep the anthropomorphic part of it out, you know. But yeah, I mean, a few curse words when things aren't going right. That's about it. Minus that, the girls will name them now. I think, is it Rosie today? Did you guys rename her Rosie? Okay. She was Allie. They renamed her today for the show, I guess, or the presentation. Any other questions? I don't want to bore you guys too much. Yes?
So when you first capture the bird,
Yep.
you have it in the net and then you take it out, but does it ever fly away? How do you control it?
Feet. You grab the feet first because you do not want to get footed by these guys, especially when they're real fresh out of the trap. That's how they deal with the world. They're going to foot you. It's amazing. I've been footed a few times by red tails, and it hurts. I mean, they handcuff you. You grab the feet, you lay them on their back. What we'll do is we'll sock them, trying to get a weight. A lot of birds, you get a look at them, you're like, you know, no, it's not the bird that I want, because you usually have an idea what size bird you want to fly, a male or a female, what size. So some you'll grab out of the trap, take a look over, and then you just release them back. Other birds, what you'll do is you hold on to them, and you'll trap through the day. And once you trap through the day, you can essentially take the pick of the litter, is essentially what we'll do. I did a lot of roadside trapping too in the early years, and it's fun, but it's not as exciting. So yeah, you sock them up, and then after that you put a hood on them, and then you just start to train a Godzilla. You go home and you get them to sit on the glove and see if they'll eat off the glove, and it is amazing how they go from they're always wild, but wild to now you're hunting with them. Yeah.
Can you give a quick timeline, time frame of when you get the bird to the next year? In 1 year, what's typical, you and the bird?
Typical year or season? You mean the whole, from season to season, or just when I trap, train, man?
Trap, train, man, and release if you did it in 1 year.
Yeah, well, it's essentially a month. A month's time I have the bird trained. I'll take my time if they kind of stagger during certain phases of the training. I get the bird outside, and I hunt, and I hunt as much as I can. I hunted a lot more, prior to twin girls. But, it's essentially a strong hunting bond. I get out in the woods and I hunt. At the end of the season, I just start feeding the bird up. I molt it through the summer. I rarely work with the bird then. They're just too nervous. I wouldn't do really something like this in July. They overheat. They're nervous. They're just trying to molt. The other thing is it's called blood in the feather. So basically,